Hi Stampers, welcome to another day of stamping. This is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do the reverse photopolymer stamping, and I'm also going to show you how to do shadow stamping. I don't know if you can see that or not. I've got two colors there on the sentiment itself. So let me give you a list of what you need for supplies today. You need Cajun Craze cardstock, 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, scored in the center at 4 1/4. Another piece of Cajun Craze that measures 3 3/4 by 2 1/4 inches. Whisper White, 5 1/4 inches by 4 inches. And a second piece of Whisper White measuring 3.5 inches by 2 inches. For ink pads today, we're going to need Cajun Craze, Delightful Dijon, Garden Green, and Crumb Cake. We're also going to need the Project Life Corner Punch, the Stamp-A-Majig, Stampin' Dimensionals, and we're using 3 stamp sets today. I'm using the sentiment from Happy Birthday Everyone, and we're using the large Happy Birthday. Vintage leaves, and I'm using 2 of the leaves. I'm using this one and this one. And the last stamp set is Awesomely Artistic, and the only image I'm using is this one here that has all the splatters. So let's get going. Now we're going to be doing the reverse photopolymer stamping first. Wow, that's a mouthful. Normally when you place your stamp image on your block, the detail is facing upwards. So when you ink your stamp, you get the detail. We're going to do the opposite today. We're going to flip the stamp over so the detail is facing the clear block. Press it in place. And what you're going to have now is the smooth side of the back of the stamp. So that's what we're going to start with first on this one. And the same thing with this one. So both sides are now on the flat reverse side of the photopolymer stamp. So let's get stamping. We're going to bring in the Crumb Cake ink, and you ink the flat side just like you would any other stamp. And we're just going to fill up the background. And as you can see, it's just doing just a flat image instead of a detailed image. And let's do one more. Now we're going to bring in the other stamp and do the same thing. And all I'm doing right now is just filling in the background. It's going to look a little different than the one I just showed you. Okay, now we're going to clean our stamps, and we're going to flip them back the correct way. There's my first one. So now we're back to having the image side up. I'm going to bring in my Garden Green ink, and you're going to ink your stamp, and you're going to stamp exactly over the other one. See what a nice effect that does. It gives you like a shadow to your stamp image. So let's finish up the Garden Green leaf. And now I'm going to bring in my Cajun Craze and make sure I have the detail side up. This makes such a nice card. I can't believe the difference by adding the shadow to the underneath. One more. And that's what your background layer looks like. Isn't that pretty? What a difference. And now I'm going to glue this to my card front. Actually, before I glue that, I've got one more thing I need to stamp, and that's the little the little splatter. And I'm going to use the Delightful Dijon for that. And I'm just going to add some dots. And I'm going right over the stamped images. This kind of reminds me of the Gorgeous Grunge stamp set. Okay, and I'm not going to do some in the middle because we're going to put another layer there to cover that. Okay, so now we're going to bring in our card base. Use our bone folder. And I'm going to bring in the corner punch to do just the bottom, the two bottom corners. And I'm going to do that with my white layer also. And now we're going to add snail adhesive. And stick this to our card front. And now we're going to bring in, let me just get rid of some paper here, bring in our small Whisper white piece, and I'm going to add just a little bit of snail on the back because I'm going to be using my Stamp-A-Majig and I don't want it to move. So that's all glued down. We're going to bring in the Happy Birthday image, and I'm going to start out with the crumb cake ink first. And remember, you're adding a second color, so once you got this centered, move it over to the right just a little bit to make up for the second color that we're going to add. So there's your first color. Now we're going to bring in our Stamp-A-Majig. I don't know if you guys are all familiar with using one of these. It can be left-handed or right-handed. You put this all the way to the corner, make sure it's snug, and using your fingers, hold down the clear layer and the Stamp-A-Majig tool. And I'm going to bring in the Garden Green ink. And you always have to make sure this fits snug in the corner and then go straight down. And as you see, your image is stamped right on the clear sheet, which we'll wipe clean when we're done. Now I'm going to place this over my image, but over to the left a little bit. When I have it where I want it, wait, I need to go up just a little bit. I'm going to put this in the corner because this is exactly where I want it. Put this in place, press down firmly, remove the plastic sheet. Now I'm going to re-ink my stamp, stick this right snugly in the corner and go straight down. And as you can see, now you have the Garden Green, which is outlined with the crumb cake. And you can actually do the full screen version of this video and you'll see the detail a lot better in the full screen view. Now we're going to layer this over the Cajun Craze cardstock piece using Stamping Dimensionals. And I'm going to use about 5. And we're going to layer this centered over the Cajun Craze layer. Turn it over and add some snail. And then glue this to the center of our card. And that's it. So you've learned 2 techniques today. The reverse photopolymer, where we added the shadow to our leaf image. Shadow stamping, where we used 2 colors to stamp the sentiment. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a message on YouTube, or you can email me. I'll have my information at the end of the video. And I will also have a link to my online store, and I will list all the supplies I used today. Thanks so much for visiting, and have a good day.